The Inland Taipan. Somewhere in the cracked clay floodplains of central Australia, there's a shy, slender snake that almost nobody will ever lay eyes on, and drop for drop, its venom is the deadliest of any snake measured anywhere on the planet. One bite carries enough toxin to kill a crowd of grown adults, and yet there isn't a single confirmed wild death on its record. That gap is the whole story. The Inland Taipan lives out in the remote semi-arid country of Queensland and South Australia, hunting rats down in their burrows, and that diet is the key to the chemistry. When your prey is a warm-blooded mammal thrashing in a tight tunnel, a slow kill means a bitten, struggling meal that can hurt you back. So this snake's venom is tuned to shut a mammal down in minutes. Neurotoxins jam the signals running from nerve to muscle, while clotting agents wreck the blood from the inside. The numbers are hard to even picture, so walk up to them slowly. One bite delivers roughly 100 milligrams of venom. The lethal dose for a person is about 1 milligram, which means a single strike carries enough to kill around 100 adults. Now, here's the part most people get backwards. You'd assume the most venomous snake on Earth must be the biggest killer of humans. It's the exact opposite. The Inland Taipan is reclusive, lives where almost no one goes, and has no confirmed wild human deaths on record at all. The deadliest snake alive is basically a shy noodle that could end 100 lives and wants nothing more than to be left alone in the dirt. The most lethal snake on Earth is also one of the most harmless to actually meet, because the deadliest thing in the outback would rather you just kept walking. The golden poison dart frog. This next one breaks a rule you didn't even know you were relying on. The rule that something has to bite you or sting you to kill you. The most toxic animal in South America can take you out through nothing more than skin contact, and it's painted bright gold on purpose so you'll see it coming. A single frog carries enough of one specific molecule to kill 10 people. And the strangest part is where that molecule comes from, because the frog isn't making it. The golden poison dart frog is about 2 inches long and lives in the Pacific lowland rainforest of Colombia, where its skin glands ooze a compound called batrachotoxin. The chemistry is brutal in its simplicity. Batrachotoxin forces the sodium channels in your nerves to lock open, so they fire endlessly and never reset, and your muscles, including your heart, just seize. The bright gold skin isn't camouflage, it's a billboard, a warning color that says, "Do not eat me." The dose that could kill a person weighs about as much as 2 grains of table salt. One frog carries roughly 10 of those doses, all of it sitting on a body smaller than your thumb. And here's the twist most people miss. The frog doesn't manufacture the poison itself. It builds its entire arsenal from its diet, pulling toxins out of the tiny beetles it eats, which is exactly why a golden poison frog raised in captivity turns out completely harmless. It's basically a video game boss that drops all its loot the second it changes restaurants. One of the most toxic animals alive, and it owes everything to lunch. The Geographer cone snail. People pick these up off the beach all the time because, honestly, the shell is gorgeous. That's exactly how the most toxic animal on Asia's coastlines gets you. It doesn't chase anybody, it waits to be held. Its nickname is the cigarette snail, and the reasoning behind that name is grim math about how little time you'd have left. The Geographer cone snail hunts fish on Indo-Pacific reefs using a hollow, harpoon-like tooth that it fires like a tiny spear gun, pumping in a cocktail of compounds called toxins. A slow snail trying to ambush fast fish needs a venom built for instant shutdown, and toxins flood a nervous system and lock it solid before the fish can flick its tail. The catch is that the same cocktail works on a human nervous system just fine. Picture the sequence. It fires a harpoon you can barely feel. Within minutes, the toxins start shutting down your nerve signaling. And that grim nickname, cigarette snail, comes from the idea that you'd have about the length of one smoke before the venom finishes the job. There's no anti-venom for it, just keeping the victim breathing until it wears off. The deadliest thing on the whole reef is shaped like a souvenir. A snail, the universal symbol of slowness that quietly out-murders most of the ocean. On a coral reef, the prettiest thing you can pick up is sometimes the last thing you'll ever pick up. If you're enjoying this kind of animal deep dive, I post new ones like this regularly, and subscribing really helps. Thanks. The Deathstalker. It's barely the length of your finger. It glows electric blue under ultraviolet light, and it carries the most potent scorpion venom on the entire planet across the deserts of North Africa and the Middle East. But here's the curveball. Its venom is one of the most valuable liquids on Earth by volume, and the reason has almost nothing to do with how it kills. The Deathstalker is a pale, sandy yellow desert scorpion, and its venom is a precise cocktail of neurotoxins with names like chlorotoxin and agitoxin. A hunter that needs to drop a meal instantly, without wasting a single precious drop, doesn't carry a club, it carries a chemistry set. Chlorotoxin jams specific chloride channels. Agitoxin blocks potassium channels, each toxin a tool aimed at one exact lock. And it turns out, chlorotoxin binds selectively to certain cancer cells, which is why surgeons are now using it to make tumors glow during operations. The dose that does the damage is almost too small to see, which is also why the price is absurd. Each scorpion holds a vanishingly tiny amount of venom, and milking one yields only a couple of milligrams at a time. Which is how, drop by drop, Deathstalker venom ends up valued in the millions of dollars per gallon, squeezed out of an angry bug, one bead at a time. And despite the name and the whole death metal reputation, the Deathstalker rarely kills a healthy adult. The sting is genuinely agonizing, but for most grown people, it's a brutal afternoon, not a funeral, with the real danger falling on small children and the elderly. The deadliest scorpion alive might end up best known for saving lives, one glowing tumor at a time. The Mediterranean black widow. Europe doesn't have a famous monster the way Australia does, and that's exactly why people forget that the continent's most toxic animal is sitting right there in the long grass of vineyards and wheat fields across the south. Its bite barely registers as a pinprick, and what comes after is the part nobody expects. The Mediterranean black widow is a small, glossy black spider speckled with 13 blood-red dots, no bigger than a shirt button. Its venom contains a compound called alpha-latrotoxin, and the way it works is almost cruel. A small spider can't overpower struggling prey by force, so its venom hijacks the nervous system directly. Alpha-latrotoxin pries open your nerve endings and forces them to dump their entire supply of neurotransmitter all at once, so your muscles contract and simply refuse to let go. Doctors have a name for the result: latrodectism, and it means full body spasms, deep cramping, and waves of pain. Stack it up, and it's almost comic in the contrast. The spider itself is smaller than a 1-cent coin. The bite delivers a dose you can barely feel going in. And yet, it can lock the muscles of a full-grown adult into hours of relentless cramping. The common version of the Black Widow story is that one bite is a quick death sentence. It usually isn't. Healthy adults survive, but the hours in between are some of the most painful in the animal kingdom. Europe's deadliest animal would lose a straight fight with a teaspoon. It can't kill most people. It just makes them wish, for a few hours, that it would hurry up. The most toxic animal on an entire continent weighs less than a raindrop. Toxicity, it turns out, has nothing to do with size. The smallest things on a continent are usually the ones carrying the worst chemistry. The eastern coral snake. North America is absolutely full of rattlesnakes, and they get all the headlines. But the continent's most toxic snake is the one that barely makes a sound, hiding under leaf litter in the southeastern United States, wearing a costume of red, yellow, and black. Its venom is some of the most potent on the whole continent, and yet it's one of the least likely snakes to ever actually put it into you. The eastern coral snake is a small, secretive relative of the cobra, and that family connection matters. Instead of the tissue-destroying venom rattlesnakes use, it blocks the receptors at the junction between nerve and muscle, so the brain's command to breathe simply never arrives at the lungs. The toxin works in silence, and the body is the last one to know. The bite itself can be nearly painless. Symptoms might not show up for hours, and by the time they finally do, the venom is already shutting down the nerve signals that keep you breathing. There is a rhyme a lot of people genuinely trust to tell this snake apart from its harmless lookalikes. Red touches yellow, kills a fellow. And it does work inside the United States. But travel south of the border, and that little rhyme falls apart completely. And people have absolutely been bitten trusting it. It carries cobra chemistry into a continent full of rattlesnakes, and then decided to be painfully shy about using it. It's proof that on this continent, the quietest snake in the room is the one carrying the loudest venom. The Antarctic Octopus. Antarctica feels like the one place on Earth too hostile for a toxic animal. It isn't. The continent's most toxic resident is an octopus that solved a problem no other venom on the planet ever had to face: staying deadly in water cold enough to freeze. Every venom is basically a set of proteins, and proteins are supposed to slow down and quit in the cold. This animal's venom never got that memo. The giant Antarctic octopus and its pale, slow-moving relatives drift through the black water of the Southern Ocean, drilling into shelled prey and injecting toxic saliva. When researchers first collected this venom, they found something that genuinely confused them. It keeps working at water temperatures around -1 to -2 degrees Celsius, the kind of cold that would shut a tropical animal's venom down entirely. And tucked inside it were toxins science had never described before. Think about the temperature gap. A tropical octopus's venom would gel up and stop near freezing. Antarctic water sits below the freezing point of fresh water all year round, and this octopus's toxins keep right on working straight through it. In water that cold, prey moves in slow motion, and so does chemistry. So this octopus needed its toxins retooled to fire at temperatures that should lock them solid. Most animals down there spend all their energy fighting the cold. This one just franchised its venom into a brand new climate. It quietly proves there is no environment on Earth too extreme for something to find a way to poison you in it. Cold doesn't slow a good toxin down. It just teaches it to work at a different temperature. The Hooded Pitohui. The single most memorable animal on this whole list isn't a snake or a spider. It's a handsome little orange and black songbird from the forests of New Guinea. For most of human history, the phrase poisonous bird was treated as a flat contradiction, a thing that simply couldn't exist. Then, this ordinary-looking songbird quietly rewrote the rule book, and it earns the closing spot precisely because nobody sees it coming. This bird carries batrachotoxin, the exact same molecule as that golden frog from the rainforest, woven right into its skin and feathers. And the story of how anyone figured that out is the part you're going to want to repeat. Back in 1989, a researcher was freeing one of these birds from a net, got a small scratch, and did what people apparently do. He licked the cut. His mouth immediately went numb and started to burn, and the tingling lasted for hours. By 1992, lab analysis confirmed it. The feathers were loaded with batrachotoxin, a compound gram for gram more lethal than cyanide. Like the dart frog and ocean away, the bird doesn't make the poison itself. It eats small beetles that carry batrachotoxin and concentrates the molecule in its feathers, turning its own plumage into a chemical sign that says, "Don't eat me." So walk it up. A single touch of those feathers is enough to set your fingertips tingling. Handle one for a while and your skin goes numb for hours. And the toxin behind it is, gram for gram, more deadly than cyanide. The discovery method here was, scientifically speaking, a guy licking his own hand and going, huh. It's a songbird that pre-seasons itself, so predators spit it back out. The world's most famous frog poison turned up on a bird halfway around the planet. And the only reason we know is that someone tasted it to find out. If you made it all the way to the poisonous bird, you're the kind of person I make these for. I post new animal deep dives like this every week, so hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.